right into it. This is your football episode. We're going to be talking college football and the NFL. It was an incredible week one of the NFL, and last night's game was epic. And so we'll get to that. But Tubby, we got to start. I mean, you got the OU gear on today. You were at the game. There was an extra video you put. So if you subscribe to the channel, you probably saw the extra clips you put on there. So thanks for putting that together. What an atmosphere, Tubby. What was it like?
It was electric throughout the stadium. I mean, the noise, just the atmosphere was like nothing I've ever felt before or seen before. Like, to have 84,000, and I will say Michigan fans did show up and represent very well. There was a lot of them there, more than I expected. But yeah, so it was great. I mean, met some really good people, both sides. For the most part, most of them were very friendly. But yeah, the game itself too is just that Oklahoma defense. Oh my gosh,
It's a problem right now.
It is a huge problem for teams in college football right now. This is the Oklahoma defense. If they are healthy, shows up week in and week out, they're going to be tough to beat no matter what. Because outside of that 75-yard run by Michigan, they had no answer. And one of the other scoring drives, too, for them started.
Yeah.
Oklahoma defense. And the guys that, I mean, they had multiple starters get hurt on defense. And just the depth of that defense, those guys stepping up and coming in. Gentry Williams goes down once again, unfortunately. Kendall Daniels gets banged up. Owen Heineke steps in and has a career night. Former walk-on. I don't know if people know his story. He was actually recruited and played lacrosse at Ohio State before he transferred to Oklahoma and walked on to play football. So, I mean, the fact that he was one of the big pieces of that defense, being a former Ohio State lacrosse player, so he already had that rivalry in his blood. That the disdain for Michigan, I think, probably even drove it just a little bit more. But I mean, there's not a whole lot that was wrong outside a few special teams things for Oklahoma. And it's just, going up from here, you get Temple this week, and then you got the daunting final 7-8 weeks of the season, playing every single game that you play from now on, as things keep on going the way they are all ranked opponents in the top 25. So they definitely have their work cut out for them. But this was a great start and the biggest win in Brent Venables' career as a head coach, because it was a must win because of the schedule that Oklahoma has coming in the SEC.
Yeah, I don't think I knew that with the updated rankings that Auburn has moved into 24th, which I still think is a bit of a stretch.
Yeah.
But outside of Kent State, every single SEC opponent is ranked right at the moment. And I mean, you expect a lot of that going into it just based off the schedules, but holy cow. It is a daunting task. And I think this is one of the things that I've loved is it matters who is your offensive coordinator. And Levy was a guy who we didn't love, but we liked enough because he could put points on the board. But even some of the stuff that you saw Oklahoma do in this one specifically, I don't know how long they can keep Arbuckle. 2 years max. I mean, This dude clearly, any quarterback his hand touches, it's like turns to gold. These guys know how to make plays. Yes, John Mateer is a bit of a cowboy when it comes to playing quarterback, but I think that's kind of what you need, because we've seen the other side where you're scared to throw picks, and it's awful. We saw it with Spencer Rattler. For the record, I watched the broadcast. How dare it? They put OU quarterbacks. They put all these ones next to each other on how good they were, and they included your boy, is what I'm going to say, Tubby, Spencer Rattler, with names like Caleb Williams, Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
Dude, I was like, well, get that man off this screen. He's got no business being up there.
Yeah, no, definitely not. But I mean, I think you talking about Ben Arbuckle and what he has brought to this offense, and it's something that we haven't seen over the last couple of years, and that is the willingness to take shots down the field.
Mhm.
something, especially last year where, our yards per attempt was somewhere around the 5 mark, which is not good at all. We're seeing him draw up these plays and take the shots down the field, and it is stretching the defense more than, what we've seen from, an Oklahoma offense. And granted, the run game is still something that has to work its way out because you can't have John Mateer running the ball 19 times a game,
No.
but it opens it up because you saw it on that final drive where Javante Barnes comes in and was able to help sustain that, long 8-minute drive at the end of the game to pretty much shut the door on any chance of Michigan coming back.
Mhm.
And uh, like we have seen like the couple passes to Jaron Kanik over the first couple of weeks over the middle, tight end, and then the few passes Dion Burke down the field, and the one to Isaiah Satanga at that crucial moment, the
Mhm.
incredible play by Mateer where he spins out of the sack, and whenever that happened and he makes a throw, I looked over to the guy to the side of me and I was like, that was just a little bit of Baker right there.
Yeah, yeah, he does have a little bit of that style to him, that passion,
Yeah.
the joy to the game. It's been a lot of fun seeing, a breath of fresh air. And if you look at this and you look at where the team was even a year ago with Seth
Oh
Luttrell,
yeah.
who we said was a bad hire from the get go, I think
Yeah.
there's still some. This is not a perfect team, and like you said, the schedule is its
No.
own gauntlet. But the defense is going to be a problem. Having John Mateer establishes some consistency that you want to see in the quarterback
Yeah.
position, and Kanik being, for the record, also had 3 tackles on the day. Just saying, like
Yeah.
playing both sides a little bit. It's nice because their tight end room has been terrible. So they
Yeah.
don't have, they do not have a run game outside of Mateer right now. I still don't like Javante Barnes'
Yes.
vision. Torrey Blaylock did not. I mean, 9 for 24 was not good enough, and Jay Knott still obviously not getting the rotation stuff that we thought he would.
Yeah. I will say I saw better vision from Javante Barnes in this game. There's a couple runs where he set up the offensive line, didn't rush his, because he's that Isaiah Pacheco, that hard downhill runner where he was able to let the offensive line set themselves up and hit those gaps or, work his way into the gaps and made a couple plays. I mean, it was that big one in that long drive at the end where he kind of set up the offense line, squeeze through the gap, and then just mows over the safety in the secondary. I think that you're starting to maybe see it coming along a little bit better than what we saw over the last couple of years. But yeah, I mean, even the fact that Torrey Blaylock played, he wasn't supposed to play. Everything that we were hearing leading up to the game, that he was out 3 to 4 weeks, more than likely, that if we were to see him again, was
Hmm.
probably going to be closer to the Texas game. And I saw number 6 run out there, and I was like, looked over at my buddy, and I was like, "Is that Torrey Blaylock?" And the guy in front of me was like, "Oh no, he's out." And I was like, "I thought so." I
No,
said, "But
that's
I know
him.
he's number 6."
Yeah.
And then they handed the ball off to him the first play, and I was like, "Okay, I guess it wasn't as bad as we thought." But I think we're seeing already maturation from this team on the offensive side. I thought the offensive line looked a lot better. You had guys healthy with Michael Fasusi getting his first guard, being healthy and coming into the game. I thought the offensive line looked a lot better this game than it did against Illinois State, which is a
Hmm.
great thing to
It
see
was
that your
almost a
offensive
different
line
unit.
is
Yeah.
looking better against a much better opponent
Hmm.
with
Hmm.
who is known for winning in the trenches. I thought was a great thing for Oklahoma because if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if they only recorded one or two, you know, actual sacks in that game for a defensive line that is supposed to be their calling card for Michigan, for
Hmm.
Oklahoma to only, give up one or two sacks with the questions that we had with offensive line coming into the season and into this game, I think is a great thing for Oklahoma going forward. Saying, okay, we have our guys. Now it's just about and more, game time
Hmm.
together. And I think if that is the case, things are going to look up even better for Oklahoma as the season goes forward.
Yeah. Well, this week, bit of a down week. Temple at Temple, which is always funny, but
At Temple.
so got to keep the ship going the right direction as you get
Yeah.
into conference play. But let's look at some of the other games
Mhm.
real quick. But Ohio State absolutely destroys Grambling. Not a big deal there. Penn State one-sided, slow to get out of the gate, but does beat FIU. LSU with a very close with a closer game, 23-7. Georgia 28-6. And then the other one I wanted to bring up was the Clemson versus Troy game, 27-16 after being down 16-0. Is there anything to read into any of these games that were closer than you expected going into it?
I think for the Clemson game, I think there's more to read into that. Maybe Kate Klubnik didn't play great.
Again,
the offensive line that should be one of their better, position groups. They are very mature, have played a lot of football together, and they're not looking good right now. I think has to be a worry, but the good thing for them is the ACC outside of Miami and Clemson is not strong. Yeah. So I think at least for them, it gives them maybe get things worked out going forward. But it's in that you lose your first week and then you start the second back. But the fact that you had to come back down 16 to a team like Troy, which I'm not taking anything away from Troy because Troy has been a very consistent team over the last 4 or 5 years, is not good for you. It's not a good look for you because you are, or you were at the beginning of the year, one of the national champion, contenders, favorites going into the season.
Yeah. Well, and then maybe a contender that no one's been talking about this year is Oregon. And yes, Oklahoma State did not have the quarterback going into this one, but 69-3 is the biggest win in program history against an FBS opponent. And this is a Power 4 school, in theory.
Yeah.
Is Oregon that dominant, or is Oklahoma State that far removed from the competitiveness that we've seen in the past?
I think it's both, honestly. Dante Moore has looked very comfortable. Grant, they haven't played the toughest schedule to start the season. I mean, Oklahoma State, at least they are a Power 5 school, but it's it's these position players that's can't remember his last name, but Sadiq, the tight end, is a specimen. That dude is a big old boy that can move and catch the ball. I mean, the first game, I don't know if you saw him hurdle over the defender. They have position players there where if he keeps on playing at the quality he's playing right now, this is a 100% national championship contending team and potentially the favorite in the Big Ten, because I'm still not sold on Penn State or Ohio State yet. Yeah, granted, Ohio State beat Texas week 1, but
who looked more dominant in their win? Texas, them over Texas or us over Michigan? That's all I'm saying. I say yes, Oklahoma.
100%.
Both were at home, so did not look collective. Now they went out and put up 70 this weekend. I think 70 over Grambling.
Yes, yeah, you're playing Grambling, one of the worst teams in college football. So you take that what you want, but I agree. I think that there's still a lot of questions for those teams at the top, like Ohio State and Penn State, because we haven't seen Penn State be able to do it in the big moments. And then
constantly
the offensive line questions for Ohio State. Everyone wants to talk about how dominant their defense was against Texas, but that was Arch's first game on the road in a loud environment, and you could tell the game was too big for him. So I don't think that we can really judge how well Ohio State's defense is on that game alone, because different offensive line had one starter return. So it's hard to really gauge how well their defense is. We'll see in a few weeks when they start playing some bigger opponents. Are they really that good? Can they shut down good offenses? But I think there's one team too, I think that no one's talking about who has 2 top 25 wins to start the season, and that's
That's what I was
USF.
going next. Yep, yep.
Yeah, I mean, you absolutely manhandle and demolish Boise State, who was in the playoffs last year. Granted, they
Mhm,
don't have Ashton Shinty this year, but you were what were they? A 14-point underdog in that game, maybe
mhm,
more at home too. At home, on
mhm.
top of that, you are a big underdog, and you absolutely dismantled them. And then you go and upset Florida on a last-second field goal. Hey, maybe they are the group of uh four or the group of five, group of 16 that pushes those their way into the playoffs if they continue to play the way they are right now.
Yeah, and their schedule too, it lines up pretty decently well. I mean,
Yeah,
so I that was the next thing I was gonna bring up was USF absolutely, shocking Florida and putting Billy Napier right back in the hot seat right away.
absolutely.
It actually felt like, oh yeah, it's fine. It's cooled off
Right?
a bit, just right back up there. The Arizona State losing on the last second after they came all the way back, but losing to Mississippi State. I think that was another big one. And then
Yeah.
Iowa State, Iowa 16-13. I don't know why they put the over under as high as they did. You and I talked about this. What are
Yeah.
we talking about? These two teams are not going to combine to score 30 points, and they didn't. uh, Another big win, and then Alabama and Tennessee both putting up 70
Yeah.
plus points in their game. There are some teams here that I think you can look at. You're like, okay, so a little. Who do you have the most confidence in? Maybe with their week two after a rough start to the season.
Um, that's tough. Honestly, I don't know if I can really put my finger on one team quite yet, just because I mean, Alabama, you're playing UL Monroe. You should win, maybe not 77 to nothing or whatever it was,
73 nothing. Yeah,
73
Ty
nothing.
Simpson 17 of 17. Yeah.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't win that much, but it's good for them that they were able to bounce back and win by that much because
Hmm.
of the disappointment, week one. I mean, if I'm gonna have to pick, I would probably lean towards Alabama just because of some of the players that the caliber of players that they have, but I'm still not sold on what they have going on there. There's a lot of just unexciting
Yeah.
football playing. You can tell these guys are not motivated like they should be playing at Alabama. So I'll say them just because I really, I mean, you can't really say Florida because we saw what happened to Florida. Can't say Texas because you play San Jose State and you won like you should have.
It wasn't
And
dominating though.
no, it wasn't. And now there's questions and there's rumors floating around that Arch may have a shoulder issue. I don't know how much you want to take into that. I know Sark, shot down the rumors today, but that's kind of his job. If
Hmm.
there's rumors floating around, and if he does have, and it may not be like a serious shoulder injury, but it could be one that is affects him, a couple weeks. You don't
Yeah.
want that getting out because you don't have to release their injury report if it's not a conference game.
Hmm.
So don't want to give a
Any extra? Yeah.
a non-conference team any
Yeah.
upper hand. And he said that I wasn't super impressed with the win, but they were able to bounce back and
Hmm.
put up some at least put up some points on the offensive side.
More likely to win the Big 12, Texas Tech or Utah?
It's Utah. Devin Dampier
Utah.
is a game changer for that team.
There we go. Let's go. We know it's not K State. Another loss to Army, but listen, you don't want to play Army. I'm just saying. The Army,
No,
Air Force, Navy, these teams, they're going to hold the ball forever. It's going to really be frustrating. So, not it was a disappointing loss for K State, but they still have a path. They only have one loss in the conference so far.
it's the
All
curse of
right,
the Ireland game.
it is right now. All right, well, let's move on to the NFL a little bit. We've already got, Eagles, Cowboys, Chiefs, Chargers. Those two games, those have been final. I think since did we record after those? Or we recorded before
We
those?
recorded before those. We recorded the
Okay,
night of the Cowboys game.
that's right. So again, that game it was that game was closer to be expected, but the
Hmm.
biggest takeaway was um, don't start Dak Prescott. Sorry, everybody. Thought we were going to have a monster game. Didn't. Eagles still a good team despite not having Jalen Carter the whole game. Um, did you see enough though from the Cowboys to think maybe they still have something?
I did honestly from the offensive side. If CeeDee Lamb doesn't drop those passes, we may be talking about a different storyline here that the
Mhm,
Cowboys upset them because CeeDee Lamb had Butterfingers all night.
mhm,
He really let them down because granted, Dak didn't put up the monster numbers, but Dak played a really good game. And he had a couple passes that were dropped, had one dropped in
mhm,
the end zone by Jake Ferguson, even though I mean, granted, he did get hit pretty good, but he still should have caught the ball. I think coming out of that game, I had more questions about the Eagles than I did the Cowboys because we kind of knew what the holes were for the Cowboys on the defensive
mhm.
side of the ball. But I don't think people expected to see some of the, maybe not some people. I know there is one person on this podcast that did see this before coming and
Yeah.
thought it could be a problem, and that is the pass rush for the Eagles. The Eagles pass rush is not was non-existent in that game. Them relying on Nolan Smith and Jalix Hunt to be their main pass rushers. I said it going into the season. I was very concerned that they were putting so much on those two guys to replace what they had.
Mhm.
And it may have been different if Jalen Carter's in the game because he is your best, defensive lineman and probably would have been able to put some more pressure. But
Yeah.
it was so bad that immediately after the game they had to sign Zadarius Smith.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, no, that sounds a little bit concerning there. At least
Mhm.
caution flags for that narrative. But
Yes.
Chiefs Chargers the next day. Chargers go on to win 27-21. It's only Justin Herbert's second win against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. And some people are saying, down go the Chiefs. Chiefs dynasty's over. It's clearly fallen off. They've lost 2 games in a row dating back to the Super Bowl last year because
Wow.
they were in the Super Bowl. Here's the biggest thing you look at this. If you and I would have guessed what was the game plan for the Chargers, it was to run the football, pass the ball a little bit. That's what they did
Mhm.
all of last year. I would imagine that most of what the game plan was for the Chiefs on the defensive side was stop the run, stop the run, stop the run. So great coaching job. Jim Harbaugh, a top 5 coach, I think, in the NFL right now, has
Yeah.
Justin Herbert get over 300 yards passing. And in the moments you think he's going to hand it off, they
Yeah.
run it. They only ran the ball, I think it was like 18 times as running backs, like actual
Yep.
design run plays that were not Justin Herbert. Incredibly low percentage. Next time
Yeah.
they play, this is not going to happen again. Chargers are a good team. Chiefs are
Yeah.
still a good team. Chiefs are playing the Eagles this upcoming week. We'll talk more about that on Thursday.
Yeah.
But the Chiefs had a chance to win this game. I love Drew Tranquil getting in the face of Chris Jones at the end of the game. Like, no, 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 we're
Oh
trying
yeah.
to win this game. If you don't lose that
Don't
contain, the Chiefs have a chance.
the chance.
And I've talked about this all season.
Mhm.
Give Patrick Mahomes, it's like one more possession. It's like giving Tom Brady one more possession. It's just a gamble. So great
Yeah.
on Justin Herbert to make the right play
Yeah.
and throw for 300 yards. I mean, he looked great.
Yeah. No, for sure. I think it definitely showed the weaknesses that we were concerned about with the Chiefs when it comes to the run game.
Hmm.
They had no run game, and then on top of that, Xavier Worthy goes down with separated shoulder. What was it? 3 plays into the game, so
Yep.
it that's definitely concerning with the thin receiving room that they have. Him going down, and now you have 5 more weeks until Rasheed Rice comes back. How long is Worthy going to be out for? I know they said he may try to go and play with the sling on, but you could tell he was in some serious pain.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't expect them to rush him back anyway. They're gonna
Mm-mm.
try, and even Chris Jones was at the end of his like, listen, we're trying to get to the peak performance and system and all that stuff by
Yeah,
December. So not super stressed. You
yeah.
got to get off to a good start. You can't get off to a slow start. We saw that with the Bengals. Which,
Hmm.
speaking of the Bengals, they got outplayed in this game, and they do
Oh,
beat
they
it
did.
because it is the Browns. They win 17-16. But is this concern for the Bengals, or is this more of they're just a slow starting team?
I think it's more just them being a slow starting team because I don't expect the rest of the season for Jamar Chase to have what 2, 3 catches in a single game.
As
Just
someone who drafted him, yeah, I know. I don't
yeah,
either.
don't see that happening.
Targets.
Yeah, I just don't see that happening very much this year at all. And
Mhm.
I granted they got let off the hook by a missed field goal,
I know. Should
but
have lost this game.
yeah, they absolutely should have. The Browns were the better team in the game, and special teams let them down.
Yeah, how embarrassing is it to look at the total in this game and there's 47 rush attempts for under 100 yards. That's
Yeah.
disgusting. Y'all should be ashamed. And on top of that, Joe Burrow, 14 of 23 for 113 yards.
Yeah.
Gross. Absolutely terrible. Yeah, so not a whole lot to worry about there. Dolphins, I mean, are they the worst team right now, or is it still, until knocked off the throne, the Panthers?
I don't know. I mean, that performance that Tua put out there was just absolutely garbage.
What's he been doing all season, off season?
Right? And you know, this is something I know is a big talking point when it comes to the offseason and the preseason. You don't want to play your players too much because you don't want them to get hurt. But
Hmm.
maybe teams start thinking about playing their starters a little bit more in the preseason so they're not getting off to these bad starts. Because Jamar Chase, I don't know if he played a
Dude.
single snap during
Hmm.
the preseason. The Dolphin starters didn't play a single snap during the preseason. So you expect this to be a problem, starting the season slow because they are rusty. But
Hmm.
like we talked about with the Bengals, when you start the season slow, it can come back to bite you at the end of the season if you aren't
Hmm.
able to consistently win from then on out. And so for you just to get absolutely destroyed by a Colts team led by Daniel Jones the way you did
Hmm.
is definitely not a good precursor to your season. And it showed what we thought. The Miami defense was going to be really bad. Their
Hmm.
offensive line was going to be really bad. And honestly, I think that they are right now one of the worst teams in the NFL because outside of Tua, and if Tua plays, I don't think Tua will play as bad as he did in that game all season, but you had no run game, you had no offense to speak of, and you're supposed to be this high powered, speed offense, and it
Nothing.
just wasn't there.
Yeah. How warm is the seat? 10 being just fire the guy today or yesterday, and then one being
Hmm.
I'm not worried about it. But how warm should the seat be for Mike McDaniel at this point?
I think it's definitely at least a 7 right now because
Yeah.
this was one of the guys that we talked about potentially getting fired in the middle of the season. And for you to start the season that way against a Colts team where we expected them to be at the bottom of their division, not really
Hmm.
have any chance at the playoffs because of the quarterback situation, and then just to get, I mean, utterly humiliated in week one is definitely not good for his resume going forward because it definitely shortened the leash a lot on him.
Yeah, does not look good. He really is taking steps back. Obviously, injuries are a big piece of that, but we'll
Hmm.
see. Who would have thought that a higher powered offense going into this weekend we'd be talking about is the Jets and the Steelers? Tommy Maddox, I mean Aaron Rodgers,
Mad.
4 touchdowns. I'm sorry, you see number 8 with the Pittsburgh Steelers,
Yeah.
and looking as old as Aaron
I
Rodgers
was,
does, look great. Brees Hall over 100 yards. Garrett Wilson, you've got a touchdown.
yeah.
Justin Fields, 2 rushing touchdowns. 2 rushing touchdowns. Is that right? Did I see
Yeah.
that right? I did. Uh, I don't know. Who should be more excited about this season right now, the Steelers or the Jets? Or should we
The
all pump the brakes?
Definitely pump the brakes.
4
I
touchdowns, 8
mean,
yards and 10, man. What are you talking
yeah,
about?
yeah, no, that's great. That is great for him. But he's not going to be playing the Jets every single week and have that revenge on his mind. And you could tell after the game that he put so much into that game because he said, these were people telling me that I needed to hang it up and I wasn't good enough for them
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah. Well, it made it personal. So I did
He
not
did.
see that game going that crazy. The
No.
Commanders Giants already said that they're going to keep Russell Wilson, which I think is the right call. Do not put
Yes.
your rookie quarterback in. I know Russell Wilson is Russell
Mm-mm.
Wilson at this point, but
Yeah.
maybe work on running the ball. You, Washington, to me, this felt like watching the Texans last year. All the hype from the year before,
Hmm.
and it felt the
It did.
exact same. And McCroskey, or no, Krosky Merritt,
Yeah.
McCroskey.
Yeah.
I combined the two names. He had a good game. He had a 42-yard run. Outside of that, 9 rushes for about 40 yards. So I think they
Yeah.
found the guy that they would like to feature more. But right
Hmm.
now, this team, it just feels slow. It feels like they're running in
Hmm.
quicksand a little bit.
Yeah. No, 100%. I I thought the same thing. This is a team that I think everyone expectations were super high to the playoffs. They made it to the NFC Championship game, and had the Eagles on the ropes, and they just kind of came out flat and just didn't look like the team that they were last year, and maybe that's partially on the coaching staff and them, hanging their hat on what they did last year and going, hey, yeah, we're here now, and not, trying to prove themselves like they did last year. I think they definitely gonna have to reset their mindset and go out there and give a little bit better effort going forward, because you got the Green Bay Packers on Thursday.
You do, and that's what a segue, Tubby. It's like you've been doing this for like 5 years now, man. Because maybe the most dominating performance we saw this weekend from start to finish was the Packers beating the Lions 27-13, but it did not feel that close. They dominated
No.
the offense, they dominated the defensive side of things. I will say Goff still had a decent game. So Sam Laporta had a resurgence. Um, and then Josh Jacobs had a terrible first half, marked by a much, much better second half.
Yeah.
How is this more of what's to come, or is this, listen, the Lions are fine, the Packers are good, this is just a good division?
Uh, I was not impressed with the game plan for the Detroit Lions going to this game.
It's a big
I thought
change.
it is, because you are having to replace Ben Johnson, and you're having to replace Aaron Glenn, both of your coordinators. But I think the fact that they are supposed to have one of the top 5 offensive lines in the NFL, and you average 2.1 yards to carry,
It was not good.
and the Packers lived in that backfield all
Mm-hmm.
game. And the thing was, it wasn't just the one position where you are like, oh, you have a new center, there's question marks there. It was Penei Sewell getting bull rushed by Micah Parsons, Rashawn Gary, and Lucas Van Ness in that game. I
Mm-hmm.
think has some concern, because the offense just did not look the same that we're expecting. They averaged 33 points a game last year. They
Mm-hmm.
didn't even eclipse 250 total
It was,
yards.
yeah, it was terrible. It just
Yeah.
seemed out of sync the whole time. I think what you said, this is
Mhm.
some of the growing pains, but they're going to have to figure it out pretty quick, because this is a good division, and we're going to see two more of those teams tonight in the division. With
Yeah.
That's weird that the Vikings and Bears are playing each other.
No.
But can the Bears take steps forward with the new head coach, who's part of the Lions' success over the last few years? I don't know. You can't get off the slow starts, or you can't stay in a slow start that long.
Yeah.
So Packers got to be feeling good. It was a good weekend to be Tubby. It really was.
It really was. I mean, I wasn't expecting the Packers to come out and dominate the way they did. And like you said, the score was much closer because they got that garbage time touchdown at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
game. It was definitely felt more like a 27-6 game the way it went. I was highly impressed with the defense, and what we talked about, adding a pass rusher like Micah Parsons makes the secondary that much better, even if the talent isn't where it should be, because him being on that edge frees up Rashawn Gary, and Rashawn Gary looked like Rashawn Gary from a couple years ago when he had 14 sacks in the
Mm-hmm.
season, because he's not getting double teamed like he was every single game last year. Now
Mm-hmm.
they have to key in on Micah Parsons, and Micah had a snap count. He did not play a whole lot,
I
but when
know.
he was out there,
He
you
was
could
a
tell
factor.
that, yeah, it was a difference maker. And I think for me watching it, the thing I was most impressed about was the step forward from the young defensive players. I've talked about it before draft. In that draft class, Edgerrin Cooper had a
Mm-hmm.
phenomenal game. Evan Williams had a phenomenal game. And I saw something in Lucas Van Ness that I haven't seen since he got drafted as high as he did. He played out of his mind, and the stats aren't going to show it, but he was in the backfield. He was, stuffing runs. I was highly impressed with the steps I saw him take forward. So I think, yeah, right now the Packers, they have to be feeling good, because granted, they didn't run the ball well,
Mm-mm.
and you had
Much
some,
better in the second half, though.
yeah, you had some errant throws by Jordan Love where he had guys open and overthrew them. It could have been even worse than what the score was if they were able to fire on all cylinders. And
Yeah.
it just goes, hey, we dominated one of the best teams in the NFL, and we didn't even play our best offensive
Mm-hmm.
football. definitely have a step forward to take, and we can keep on growing and just become even more dangerous as the season goes along.
Yeah. Well, the only people who should feel better about the weekend in football than Tubby is the NFL from Thursday through last night. Wow, they got almost
Yeah,
great game at every single time slot that people can look back on, and hopefully tonight's the same
they did.
with the Bears of
Hmm.
Caleb Williams and JJ McCarthy
Yeah,
going against each other. But the Ravens and the Bills. What if I told you, Tubby, that you
dude.
beat the Baltimore Ravens on the road with a 40-25 lead with less than half a quarter left, and you would
Yeah.
lose that game? In that game, you had 3 rushing touchdowns between Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson had 2 passing touchdowns, no interceptions,
Hmm.
14-19. Everything sounds great.
Yeah.
And you find a way to lose the game. Is this more about the Bills or is this more about the Ravens?
I think it's more about the Bills' resilience. I turned it off at 40-25. I turned the game off because I thought it was over. You're
Yeah.
down 15 with 4 minutes left in the game, and you come back and win that game. I think it speaks to the Bills going, okay, this is a big matchup. This is
Hmm.
week one.
This is a
We're playing
tiebreaker.
one of the, yeah, this is the tiebreaker. This is one of those teams that we are going to be fighting for that number one seed in the AFC. We cannot let this one get away from us. And Josh Allen did what Josh Allen did at the end of that game. He's up. He's not quite Patrick Mahomes when it comes to the end of the games, but he is right there with
It's
him. When,
pretty stinking close.
yeah, I mean, we have seen it. Well, we seen that game against Kansas City in the playoffs 2 years ago. We knew whoever had the ball at the end of the game was going to win that game, and
Hmm.
the numbers he put up with the lack of help, and outside of, I mean, Keon Coleman had an incredible game, especially towards the end of the uh,
Hmm.
fourth quarter. But he doesn't have the best talent around him when it comes to position players, and for him to put that team on his back and go out there and overcome a 15-point deficit at the end of the game and pull off an incredible comeback in week one to give you the upper hand over a team that you're fighting for the number one seed. I think it just shows what they know, and what they know they needed to do, and the capability of this team is going forward. I
Yeah.
was highly impressed with the resiliency week one to go out there and fight as hard as you could for that
Yeah.
win.
This very well could have been a preview of the AFC Championship game. I mean, as good
Yeah.
as these teams are, when
Hmm.
you look on paper, outside of the fumble by Derrick Henry, which he typically
Yeah.
loses one maybe a year, and to have it in this game is just epically like
Yeah.
frustrating for him because he had a
Hmm.
monster game again.
Monster game. Yeah.
And I can't even say like, well, they should have ran him more because I mean they
Hmm.
did. They even ran him when they should
Hmm.
have run him. He just never he doesn't fumble that much. It's a
No.
great game. Watch out for the Bills. Watch out for the Ravens. It's going to be an epic year for some of the top talented teams. But I think right now what you're seeing is that right now the Bills, Ravens, both you cannot sleep on them. No lead is going to be
No.
safe.
No, not at all. And I mean, that is the offense for the Baltimore Ravens going forward, having Zay Flowers 143 yards
Mm,
receiving,
good
and
luck.
he maybe stepping into a legitimate number one wide receiver slot that they haven't had.
Hmm.
That makes that offense even more scary going forward, and it's definitely not going to want to be a team you want to play.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. Well, we are going to talk about some weekend matchups as we get there, but we are going to bring those up in our Thursday episode. So if you have not already, please consider hitting that subscribe button so you don't miss a single podcast. We bring 2 a week, assuming our schedules all work out with that kind of stuff. But the best part of that is you all, the listeners, just joining in. So always jump in the chat, put your thoughts, your takes, because sometimes you may think we're wrong. We're oblivious. We are not talking about your team, and we want to know it so we can bring up some thoughts or even answer questions that you'll have. Tubby, is there any thoughts you have on that right now?
Yeah, so we got Bray the Goat in here.
Pray
He
the
came
goat.
in,
What a
said,
name.
"What's up?" User Liam came in and said, "What's up?" Zoe. So we have a few people in here, chatting it up. But yeah, we appreciate you. And one big note that happened this weekend, we hit
Hmm.
330 subscribers on YouTube. So
Yeah.
appreciate you, every single one of you,
Yeah.
subscribing and listening to the us just ramble.
Yeah, just ramble. Talk about the things that we would have texted about anyway.
Yeah,
So please join the conversation, be a part of it. You guys make this thing a lot of fun to keep going. This is like year number 4 or 5 into it's wild.
yeah, yeah. It doesn't
Okay.
seem like it, but yeah,
All right.
this is the
Thanks for
start of
joining.
year 5.
All right. Well, we will see y'all next time.
See ya.
See ya.